Okay, so I wanted to slow us down a little bit and take shading piece by piece. The first thing when you do shading, and I hope this is a better way to video and show you guys a better setup. So the first thing when you do shading is you have to set up a scale. And the reason that you need this scale from dark to light is so that you can create volume with a shape that will make it go from a two-dimensional surface, look like a two-dimensional object, to a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional surface. So first thing I did is just set up some straight lines so that I can see my progression. In the book, I think they add small squares, which is fine if you want to do that. And so how I do it is I go from darkest to lightest. So to create the darkest shades, which will be like your darkest shadows, you're obviously gonna black this in. So it almost looks like velvet. And then I sort of take these and smudge them down. Because when you are creating an object to look more realistic, you want the gradual lines to disappear. You just want sort of the shadow of dark to light to be there. And then I go in and sort of clean this up. So that was my compressed charcoal, which is the thicker piece. And then I go back in with my vine and add a little bit, smudge it. If there's too much in one area, I will go back and erase. Sometimes it's easier to work in a circular fashion. Because you really want it to go from dark to mid-tones to light tones. And then these are a little dark. So let's see. I'm gonna erase a little bit. So something similar to that, dark, midtones, and light. The reason we do this is because if you don't have this gradual scale, value scale, and you start adding a really dark shadow, say right here, let's say you're like going in and shadowing and getting really vigorous, and so you keep like adding, and then you're like, oh, well, that's too dark, so I'm gonna go back in. I do this. Like, it adds a line, right? Like, if I start to add too much darkness here, and then this side needs to be lighter, you get this really harsh line here. And you may want that in some cases, but you may not. So you just want to really be able to create value and create that scale. The lighter tones are going to be the ones that are lit up with the light, and the darker ones are going to be the one that's in shadow. The darkest shadows are the ones, like, say, between an object and a table. So for instance, this right here is the darkest shadow, and that would be the darkest darks. And right at the edge of, say, the paper would be like, I would go in with a line of charcoal. And I'm going to demonstrate some shadowing next.